Welcome back. We're not for everyone. We're an existential commentary podcast hosted by a one potato and one potato. And I'm the potato. And Kess. Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna take that again. And what if your name was Kess?
No, keep going.
Yeah, what if your name was Kess? What would
what if it was?
Short
I
for?
thought you were gonna say Kevin at first, and I was gonna be like, I don't know. But I have an inside joke with some of my friends where they call me Hess. I don't even remember how it got started.
Is that like a Spanish pronunciation?
You know what? It could be. It very well could be.
Hess?
Hess. There's actually also a Hess like wine brand, but my nickname came before we were aware of that. All I'm saying is you can call me Kess.
Is it offensive for me to say Spanish pronunciation? I don't know what I'm allowed to say.
You can say
is that offensive?
I think it was so clearly not a Spanish pronunciation that you're allowed to say.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know. Okay. I didn't take Spanish.
I didn't either. We took French together.
Oh, we really did.
Like tender times.
Do you remember that I went by a different name in French class? Because there were too many Carolines. So Madame Watkins asked me to pick a different name, and I picked Letitia. and I went by Letitia for like 2 years.
I genuinely don't remember that, but it doesn't surprise me. Madame Watkins was a character. That woman,
she was so sweet. She refused to wear a bra. Absolutely, blatantly refused. But she did swing them. She was such a great teacher.
She was. She swang them low and proud and
loud.
And loud. Did you come on the France trip? I can't remember if you were there.
No, I don't know why, but I did not go. And I missed out on a huge bonding opportunity with all the rest of the French kids. And I regretted it the rest of my life.
Oh, it was pretty fun. I just have one quick story from it. Do you remember Madame Worth?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she was a riot. So she, on the French trip, I don't know, I was like in my hotel room with the two people I was staying with. I was showering.
To clarify, this is like a trip abroad that all the French students took, hosted by our crazy ass French teachers.
Yeah. In the 8th or 9th grade. I can't remember. 9th grade, maybe.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was showering, and I guess in France, in a lot of places, there aren't really like shower curtains or anything. It's just like a tub with a shower head thing, and you're
your
just
French
like
teacher
nude. Yeah. So that's where I'm headed. So I'm showering, minding my own business. The bathroom door is closed. And I guess my mom tried to call the French teacher to check on me because my mom was back home while I was on this trip. And I was like, I don't know. What's the word for it? I was just like a mama's girl, like homebody. I never went anywhere without my parents. I was sheltered. So she was worried. Yeah. She called the French teacher, and Madame Worth barged into our hotel room. Our friend, I think Sheila, was like, Jessica's showering right now. And Madame Worth was like, her mom's on the phone, and like barged into the bathroom, and I'm standing there completely naked, no shower curtain or anything. And she's just like, your mom's on the phone. Like, she was unfazed. Your mom's on the phone. Answer.
You're like, this is my vagina.
Yeah. I was extremely uncomfortable, but yeah, I think about it all the time when I think about her, which is often. And then I just like turned off the shower and talked to my mom, and she was like, I haven't heard from you. And I was like, I'm fine. I was showering. Like, what's happening, everyone?
How long do you think you had not been in contact with your mom that she called?
Oh, like 2 days max.
That is brutal. That
That has stayed with me into my 30s. Like, if I don't call my mom every other day, she freaks out. Like, or if I miss her call and I don't send a quick text that's like, I'm in a meeting or something, or I'll call you back, she freaks out. Wow. It's still, I don't know how to escape this, because the alternative is like probably not talking to her at all. I think she's an all or nothing type of person. She's like, I need to hear from you every day, or we hate each other.
I forget you.
Yeah.
Wow. I have to like beg. I mean, I don't do this anymore, but like in college, I would like beg my parents to call me. I don't know why.
That's
I mean, whatever.
Cute.
It wasn't.
That's cute of you.
I don't know if it was cute. It was always. Oh, all my friends in college were like always on the phone with their moms and stuff. And I guess my mom had a lot of other kids, but she was
True.
She was not concerned, and I was like, you should be concerned. I'm struggling.
This is a cry for help. Please answer. Yeah, I'm always interested in how often people talk to their parents because
Right.
I genuinely feel that I talk to my parents too often. But that being said, I just don't know how to change it. Like, it's been so long and
Yeah.
it's been this way.
Is it too much for you? Like it doesn't feel good to you? Or you're just saying by the standard of average, you talk to them a
No,
lot more?
no, I do think by the average standard, I am on the higher end of the spectrum, but I also think it's too much for me. Like, there's not something to
Yeah,
say to my parents every other day.
certainly not.
And the pressure of knowing that I haven't talked to them in 2 days and I'm due for a call, like, it kind of weighs on me on a day when I've been so busy and just like don't have it in me to have another phone call,
One
but
more
I feel
chore.
like I have to call my mom. Yeah, and I don't want it to feel like a
Mm,
chore to call my mom, but some days it does because I know the expectation is there and like the precedent's been set and I
yeah.
can't shake it. And so there's been so many times where I've had to explain to her like, "Hey, I'm calling to tell you I'm alive, but I'm now going to hang up. Like, I have nothing to say and I'm exhausted." And she
Yeah.
gets it at this point and she's just like, "Thanks for calling." But
Yeah.
it's I don't know. I don't know. I'm happy I obviously am lucky to have my parents wanting to be an active part of my life. I think that's a nice comes from a good place, but it adds stress sometimes and that's no
Sure.
one's intention, you know?
Yeah, you can have loving parents and love your parents and appreciate all they do and also like sometimes be annoyed at certain parts of the situation.
Yeah.
It's complex. Yeah, that I feel that feels like a situation that would be really easy to be like dole out a bunch of theoretically actionable advice about like, well, just do this, we'll say this and do this. But it's like
No.
this has been going on for 30 years. And not only that, but they're in their 60s and it just to change the dynamic, it's very difficult. It's extremely
Mhm.
difficult. I say give up. I say it's just accept the rest of your life.
You're so right. I mean, it's the type of thing where my approach is just pick my battles.
Totally.
Like, I cannot get what I want out of every interaction with my parents all
Yeah.
the time, and it's been going on for long enough where I know that that is true. I've been in therapy for long enough where I've noticed the patterns and know that that is true, and it's just like I
Yep.
got to pick my battles. So if there's certain things that I have to do to appease them in a way, I'm gonna do those things as long as they're not like totally a hindrance to me.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's easier than rocking the boat and upsetting them when I don't want to upset them. I'll upset them about something that like if I really have to and it really matters to me. But a phone call on a day when I don't feel like it, fine. You birthed me. I guess it's okay. What's happening in your world? What do you want to share with the class today?
What I want to share. I'm feeling good. I am sober now, but I was drunk like 40 minutes ago, maybe. Just like
Hmm.
just one glass drunk. Feeling great, feeling easeful. I do
Easeful.
easeful.
I
Yeah.
like that. It's like an easel, but easeful.
I think it's a word. I've been learning a lot of new words. Not that that's a new word I learned, but I have been learning a lot of new words because I've been reading my sister's book. And girl, it's full of words. The whole thing is words, essentially.
I believe it. That's a lot. That is a lot of
It's
words. How long is that book?
like 400 pages.
Oh my gosh. How long did it take her to
It's
write
so
that? I'm
good.
going to interview Elizabeth through you right now.
First of all, she would be the best person to have on this podcast because she's hilarious. She's
Yeah.
a genius and she's a crazy person, which I say like she's like the best crazy person I've ever met. She's so it's the brand of crazy where like everything she says is true. Everything she says is true. It's just like no one else will say it.
Mhm.
And it's wild to hear it coming out of like a mouth. She's just the smartest person. I actually reading her book right now, which the book's not out, but it's like an advanced copy that's it's not even the final like manuscript or whatever. Like there were still edits that came out after that. But um wow. Was I talking just now? What was I saying? Wait.
She's a genius and
Oh yeah,
now
she's a
reading her
genius.
book.
Reading that book, and then I'm also oscillating between that and another great book, which I'm loving, but going between like her prose and then just like some pedestrians, some fucking plebeians prose. It's like, wow. I mean, she's just so smart. It's crazy. Not smart in that like, oh, look at your vocabulary. First of all, having your vocabulary is not necessarily a reflection of any way in your intellect. Maybe it's a reflection of like how much you've been exposed to works, but it's not necessarily a reflection of like how deep your thoughts go. So she does have like this crazy vocabulary, of course, but that's not why I think she's so smart. It's just the way she thinks about the world is wild. The things she's able to capture. I don't know. I'm just fangirling over her right now.
I
But
love that. I
yeah,
love that
it's
you're
crazy.
fangirling over your sister. Like, what a special
Crazy.
thing.
And I don't think I'd read anything of hers in a little bit. So I feel like I'm like re-experiencing her. I don't know, but my point was that she'd be so much fun to interview on here at some
Totally.
point. I don't know.
Well, I love that for you and Elizabeth, and like the way that you're appreciating her work. I think that's really beautiful. I do.
It's really nice.
I never knew her super well, but like always was kind of in her orbit just because she went to our school and was your older sister and stuff, and only a couple years older than us. And I always was like, I revered her. I was just like, she carries herself with such confidence. She has such a like intense look in her eye.
It's so
all
intense.
the time. Like she's just intimidating in the best way. Like I mean this as a compliment and like an admiring thing.
No, she's scary. It's cool.
Anytime that you tell me she likes anything that I've done or said, I'm like,
it's scary, right? It's scary.
Yeah.
What was great about my older sister is that she was like, just one of the brightest people you'll ever meet. And in some ways she like didn't really care. I think she like frequently got in trouble for like disrespecting teachers and stuff, and like verbally embarrassing them, like linguistically or something. I don't know. And falling asleep in class. She was always falling asleep in class. Yeah, she like can't sleep ever. And she was constantly falling asleep in class. Like, I don't know. She's just like she's just such a character. She is such a character. I always thought like movies should be written about her. She's so funny to me.
But. Yeah. The falling asleep in class thing reminded me of this part of The Office when they're at Benihana and something happens. Somebody's eyes are closed and Dwight's across the table. Anyway, he just goes, narcolepsy. And I just like sometimes say that to myself, narcolepsy.
Narcolepsy. I have a question.
Okay.
Do you feel like you trust Harry Styles?
No.
Right. Correct. Why? Why?
I love the phrasing of that because I knew the answer, but I had never like put it that way before. Okay. Why is Harry Styles is beloved by everyone. I don't generally trust a person that's so widely beloved.
That is part of the problem.
He was never like on my radar, like on my shit list until recently at the Grammys. He won Album of the Year instead of Beyonce. And then he had the audacity to say in his acceptance speech, people like me never win things like this.
What the fuck are you talking about, Harry? What the fuck are you
talking about? What is he, British white man?
What does he mean? What does he mean?
I don't know.
Pop star, like child pop star.
Everyone loves you and has a crush on you.
What are you talking about?
You all of a sudden made it trendy when so many people have been trying to make it cool to dress androgynously. Maybe he means that part.
I was thinking maybe he means the fact that he is more a pinup boy than like an artistic talent, which I think he's effectively evolved. Like I haven't studied his what is it? What is opus? His works? You call it an
discography? Opus.
Yeah,
I like
too
that.
closely. I don't know if that's the right word, but I think he's done an effective job of like transitioning from basically a little pop baby tweener star to like a respected artist. That's the only thing I could possibly imagine.
Right.
He's overcome.
But it's like so has like everyone else who was in the running to win that award. They all started.
They have overcome a lot more. Yeah.
Basic pop stars and then found their voice and been established as like more credible artists over time because that's like the way that you become a musician in this country. And then he's against all these like black and and people of color, women.
People
and
like me. People like me.
I was just like, dude, everyone was waiting for the name Beyonce to be said. And then that's what you said. So
the fuck did he mean? Did anyone ask him, what did you mean by that?
I think everyone just decided that he's an idiot, you know, before they didn't
That
ask.
seems clear.
They didn't approach it with curiosity. They approached it with, you're over now. It's, you won a Grammy
He's
and now
not
you're done.
over. I don't
He's
think
not
he, is
over,
he?
but
I haven't
I'm
been keeping
mad.
up.
And a lot of people
Yeah.
are of the same mind as what I'm describing. But
Okay.
it
Cool.
doesn't mean he's canceled. Listen, I like some of his music and whatever. It's fine. There are worse offenses, but
For
I
sure.
don't trust him. That's for goddamn sure.
I don't trust him. I don't trust him. I realized, and yet I'm watching him a lot on like Instagram and stuff. Just like there's something about, first of all, I know next to nothing about him. So why am I talking? Because I can be, but he's obviously incredibly talented. He's an incredible performer. He seems to have a great strategic business mind, the way he's transformed his career, and like very cool fashion sense, I guess. I don't fucking know. He's hot. That's cool. Like,
Totally.
these are all true. But something about having that level of charisma is so creepy to me. Like, I don't trust anybody, I don't think, that has that level of charisma. It is so terrifying and inhuman seeming. I just clam up at it. It's which, like, I don't know him as a person at all.
Yeah.
You know, that maybe that's just his show persona, but there's something that, first of all, listen, there's, if you're listening right now and you're furious at me,
I mean,
congratulations.
he has a fan base that will come for you. So I'm actually afraid.
No, this is me saying this is really strategically stupid for the podcast, but
for your business. Yeah.
whatever.
I mean,
yeah, he's strategically intelligent. I'm not.
I do love his fashion sense. I mean, I never thought I would look at a small white man in a sequin top and like be aroused, but he has made that possible for me. And so for that, I thank him for opening my eyes, you know, like he's really creative in that way and in his way of self-expression. So I like things about him and I like some of his music, but yeah, he is so charming. Just exactly what I just described. On one hand, I'm like, that's amazing. And on the other hand, I'm like, how did you do that? How did you make me change what I think is attractive? Like,
yes, I
only
think that,
for
I
him.
mean, there are certain people like that, and I know based on the effect those people, especially those men, have on me in person. Like, I'm not immune to it. Like, I would be such a fucking sucker for Harry Styles. Something about the whole fashion. First of all, I haven't done nearly enough research into like how or what that actually evolved from him, but something even about that, like, anytime, I just think all of it is performance to some degree. All of it is strategic to some degree, and like it can also be a genuine thing, but like he isn't forgetting that. I don't know. I a part of me is just like, how much of it is just like a strategic way to stay relevant, to stay interesting, to stay notable. After like being notable for many years, you can't remain notable year after year after year if you stay the same. Like, he was a notable thing, and then people get used to it and people move on and people want the next notable thing. And like, it's so unfair of me to say, I'm just talking out of my ass. It's not really a criticism of him. I'm just more talking about the concepts in general. And then not to mention that, like, I mean, it's really cool what he did. It's really cool how he brought to the mainstream this like different acceptable way for men to dress and express themselves now. And also lots of other people have done it. When it was not accepted. So I don't know. It's, the whole thing is really interesting to me. And I would love to know, like, is he safe? Is he safe? Is he safe? And are we safe?
I think there's definitely like some cult stuff going on, you know. There's a cult somewhere, and whether he's the head or it's just about him or we're part of it right now, I don't know any of the answers, but I do think that there's a cult associated with him. This does remind me of another topic that I had in the back of my mind. So on my third date with my boyfriend, we discussed our top 5 celebrities that we would like hook up with.
Love it.
And that was a really great way for us to like bond and become a little more like
That's so fun.
talking about that stuff with each other as opposed
What
to
date?
just
What date was it? Third.
3.
Okay, cool. What are you going to share?
Well, it has changed. Mine has changed. We just revisited it and we're like, do you have any updates to your list from when we talked about this on our 3rd date? And it's been very challenging for me to put this list together. Okay, it's all over the place. Yeah, so we had this conversation on our 3rd date. I had some wild cards in there when we talked about it then. I had Shia LaBeouf on this list. I had, of course, I had John Mayer on the list, and he remains on the list because that's like something I have to fulfill for my 16-year-old Jess. Like,
yeah, you got to fuck full circle
until we have sex with each other.
You got to fuck them off the list. Just trying to get you out of here.
Who else is on the list? So now, okay, but I did update it. Shia is no longer there. I added, and he should have been there the whole time. I just kind of forgot he existed until White Lotus season 2 happened. Theo James, who was in the Divergent series, and then in White Lotus season 2, he plays the guy.
Oh my God, he's the asshole. He's literally the only asshole in the season.
Yeah. But I thought he was hot like 10 years ago when he was in the Divergent movies.
He is.
And
He's totally hot.
He was like a hero type character, like who saved the girl and saved the day in that or something. So I am troubled by his recent portrayal of this asshole. He's still hot as the asshole though. And he's hot and he's on my list. I don't know.
Listen, there are plenty of assholes on my list for sure. Yes. Right.
Also, it's a character, like, but it was a pretty
That's
believable.
So true. I forgot.
It was a pretty believable portrayal.
I forgot it was a show.
It did not.
Wait. You're saying White Lotus wasn't real? You're saying White Lotus didn't happen?
Jennifer Coolidge is still alive and popping. Spoiler alert.
That's kooky.
So he's on the list. Next is, and I don't even know how to say his name.
What is this going to be?
His name is Eon Noel. So
how do you spell Eon?
It's Y apostrophe. I don't know if it's an L or an I, and that's what's difficult about this. A-N. Okay. He's in the show Insecure, which is one of my favorite shows. And then he's also in a couple different movies. And he just has this like smirky smile on him. And I can't even find a picture
of him. I can't even find a picture of him when I Google him. This is so confusing.
Y apostrophe I-A-N.
Oh, okay.
N-O-E-L is his last name.
Oh, okay.
And just search Insecure and maybe that will help.
He's beautiful. He's
a beautiful man. Yeah. So he's number 4 on my current list that is still not perfect. Like, I don't even know if Theo James stays on the list in the next iteration. I don't know. I'm not committed to any of these men. Okay. 3 is John Mayer. I would have him higher, but he's not actually my physical type. It's just his mind and the many years that I've toiled for him.
Okay. What's wrong with his body that you would change?
I like them bigger. Okay. He's kind of like too pale and skinny for my usual type, but again, he's who he is. I mean, I'll take it. I like that he's really tatted. He looks good. I like his style. He kind of has cool style. He has cool hair. It's like floppy. So there's things I can work with, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, the next one. And this one I feel like is divisive. And I get that this person is not really like, he has a distinctive face. Kumail Nanjiani, who is in Big Sick.
Yeah.
And recently got really buff.
Very likable.
Very likable. He's funny. I don't know. There's just like, he's cheeky, I feel.
That's a good one.
And that's a good one. Like, personality really goes a long way. But also, I think he's attractive. Like, that's an example of the more I saw him in things, the more I was like, actually, I have a crush on this person.
Kumail Nanjiani. Yeah. I see that.
And then number 1, and it feels like number 1 shouldn't even be on the list. Like, he should be on a separate list. He shouldn't be listed with these other people that are on my list. So that's why I feel weird about it. But King Idris Elba. I mean,
oh yeah, classic.
But he's on the older
that's
end.
A daddy.
That's a daddy.
Oh, that is like the youngest end of my scale.
Oh, is it?
Daddy.
Okay, that's going to make me feel better because I think
Ooh.
he stands out from the rest of the people on my list because of age, because of stature. Like he's just like an established like man,
Totally.
and everyone else on my list is like a hot young boy or something.
Yeah. What is it? The
Yeah.
saying, a man among, is it a saying to say a man among boys, or is it a boy among sheep, or a man among sheep? No.
A sheep among giants.
A prince among men. Wait,
Oh,
something among men. Who's among men? A something among men. I'm gonna Google this.
A Prince
Man
Among
Among
Men
Men?
is a British
Oh,
sitcom that ran in
okay.
1997.
Okay. A man, something is coming up that says a man among men, but that seems like it says nothing.
A man among men.
That's just a word among words. Okay. Well,
All right.
but I agree.
So that's my current list. I feel like there's people
Good.
I'm forgetting that they exist.
Yeah.
And I wanted to, the reason I even brought us here is because I did briefly consider putting Harry Styles on the list.
Oh, yeah. No, I
Yeah.
get it. I think I'd like a Harry Styles equivalent, probably.
Yeah. Okay. So do you have thoughts? I know that I just sprung this upon you.
Yeah, I have thoughts. These are people, I don't know if these are my tops, but
Right.
I literally just put this together sitting here. People that I want, well, I've definitely found you attractive at different times, and they're all daddies. Daniel Day-Lewis.
You've always loved him.
All day long, all day long. I'm so attracted to someone who seems both smart, withholding, and essentially completely unattainable, just like total enigma. What a fucking ghost. This is all I think pretty much toxic attraction, I would say. I was really, really just into a classic old Brad Pitt when he was younger, not so much now.
Yeah, would agree. Not anymore. His
Nothing
day has passed.
Yeah, nothing.
What era? What era is like your favorite Brad though? Because there was the long hair, there was the spiky hair.
Oh no, I'm definitely short hair.
Okay.
I was really into Ocean's 11 Brad Pitt.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I would agree. That's the one I would choose probably. That's a great movie.
Really, really great. Really
That
good.
reminds me that Matt Damon is someone that I love and maybe should
sexually love.
Sexually, yeah.
You know what? Actually, though, I just watched for the first time. I just watched Talented Mr. Ripley, and he's kind of twinkish in that, but he's so beautiful.
Right. Yeah, I'm thinking more like in any of the Ben Affleck, Matt Damon movies where he has the Boston accent. I have a weird thing for like
Goodwill
a
Hunting
accent.
is so hot. Yeah, and he doesn't give a fuck, and he's anti-establishment, and he's so smart, but he doesn't even care. Like that's so hot. It's so hot.
Yeah, Matt Damon, not my usual type, but that I don't really have one. It's just like all over the place. If you're hot once and I see it,
if you're hot once, if I catch you being hot, you're fucked. And
it's over for you. You're on the list. Consider yourself listed.
Listed. All right, I'm gonna say I get more youthful with Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy. Oof.
Oh wait, I need to remind. I know that everyone loves him. I need to remind myself what he looks like.
He's so hot.
Okay, yeah. See,
he's beautiful and so talented and so dark. Most of them, I would say, go pretty dark. I love a darkness. I love a dark intelligence. You're looking at him.
You just unlocked something for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. What's he in? Like I know his name, but
first of all, he's Bane in Batman.
Oh shit. Okay.
He was born in the darkness. Yeah.
This is a real piece of man meat right here.
That's a fillet. Christian Bale in multiple eras. I don't know that we'd be going down now.
Sure.
Well, maybe, but really do love Christian Bale. And I think Harrison Ford, I always had a big old classic crush on.
How could you not? I mean, timeless for all the generations.
Totally timeless. Yeah. But this is not a complete list. Do not hold me to this. There are
totally.
I've actually, oh my God, I've started fantasizing about one really like very famous YouTuber.
Okay.
And who I'm not really attracted to, but he's married and he and his wife seem really like a wonderful pair, and they just seem like they are really friends and they really love each other, and it seems awesome. And I like did an experiment the other day where I was like, I wonder if I could um why am I stumbling over words here? Masturbate to completion to the fantasy of someone loving me, because I don't think that's ever one of my sexual fantasies of like, it's never like being in love. It's always something like upsetting, you know?
Yeah.
And I like as a growth challenge to myself, I tried to force myself to come to the concept of someone being in love with me, and I didn't get there. It was honestly exhausting. I did
You
not get
probably have
there.
to work at it. I don't think you could do it on the first go.
Yeah, yeah. Which I also think it's not like an I don't know if that's like really a necessary achievement. Like I'm happy to be perverse in the very, I think, pretty normal ways. Um, but I did try. I did try, and I
And it
don't
was
know.
to this YouTuber.
Yeah, it was to a specific YouTuber. Just him
Okay.
loving me, just him thinking I'm a great gal.
What like made you decide on this mission and choose him for it? Because
I'd
they're so
gotten
loving?
yeah, I'd gotten kind of like fixated on their relationship because of interviews I'd seen, because of like because like videos them together. Just like I just started completely getting like I went on like a little mini obsession rabbit hole on their relationship. And so many things about it seemed like I don't know, the ideal of like finding a friend. Also, why am I protecting his anonymity? He doesn't give a fuck. It's Cody Ko. Cody Ko, if you guys watch
Cody Ko
YouTube,
is so cute.
he's adorable. He's definitely, I wouldn't say he's like my type, but he's like, you know what I really appreciate him about him actually is that like he is funny, and he's one of few YouTubers who he's enormous, but he at least doesn't let on a huge ego. Which is pretty fucking rare when you've made that much money and that much of a following. And his wife, Kelsey Kreppel, like seems also so funny and weird. Like at first I just noticed how funny and weird she was,
Mm-hmm.
and like beautiful. And then I started watching stuff, I don't know, interviews about them meeting, and it's really fun because a lot of it is captured. Like he was already a YouTuber when they met, so a lot of it, like a lot of moments of like some of the first times they hung out are captured on his podcast before they were ever dating, and him talking about this girl he had a crush on, and how it
Mm.
was so different, how he felt like before dating her, everyone he dated just like didn't really get his humor and everything. And he would have this feeling of like, I wish, you'd hang out with them and like kind of just be ready for them to leave. And I was like, that's kind of how I feel. That's a big thing I guess kind of struggling through. Like it's just hard. It's just rare to find that personality match. And I had that personality match 100% with my ex of 6 years. There were other emotional things that were missing, but I had that. Like, if nothing else, we were comedy partners.
Yeah.
Like almost perfect comedy partners. I wish I could have him on the podcast.
Mm.
But um and I'm like, man, I wonder if I'll ever encounter that again, because that's almost, I think, more rare than finding love is
Yeah.
finding your comedy partner. I think that's even more rare. And I just got really fascinated by Cody Ko and his wife, and I'm like, I hope they're happy because it makes me happy watching them. And I
Yeah.
jerked off to the idea that he might also love me.
I really like that. I'm interested in this concept you just brought up of like the kind of personality, humor, like almost best friendship dynamic with a partner, and
I
then
know.
like all the other things that you need with a partner. Because I don't know, like that is obviously, I think it's normal to want all of it.
I'm debating what I need to give up, or if I do need to give things
Right.
up. I'm not saying that they're all requirements. I'm prepared to give things up, but it's hard to figure out what I mean. When I
What
came
you
out of
give
that
up.
relationship, I was like, I'm never dating a funny person again. Which was like a stupid reaction, but I was just like, I don't care about personality match anymore. I have friends that can be my personality match. Like I want someone who
Yeah.
makes me feel safe,
Yeah.
and makes me feel heard, which I think that's a very valid way to enter a long-term relationship. I think that's a completely dynamic. But then I think I like swung too hard in the opposite direction, and I've dated some people that I had like not enough personality match with maybe.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to figure out, where to land.
I know.
What do you think?
It is so complicated because like this is kind of in a way it's something I've talked to my therapist about a lot, which by the way, mentioning Barbara, somebody messaged us and was like, "Hey, the way you talk about your therapist is amazing. Would you be open to sharing her name?" And I thought that was like sweet and funny, but
That's
also
hilarious.
I don't think she's taking new clients because she is probably going to retire in the next couple of years and then I'll be fucking free falling.
She was like, I don't want to love anyone after Jess.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want to help anyone after Jess.
We're both riding off into the sunset together, and I won't go to therapy when she's retired. And I'll just be
so funny.
Fucking, yeah. Anyway, so what was I going to say? We talk a lot about like how in this day and age, people expect so much from their partners. Like they expect a soulmate, a lover, a best friend, like a business partner for some people, like everything that you want to achieve in life and all of the things you want to feel and all of your happiness and success, like from one person in one relationship. And it's just a completely unattainable and unrealistic expectation to put on somebody.
Yeah.
Or at least to put on them 100% of the time for the rest of your life.
Right.
But it is so ingrained that like our generation is looking for so much of that all wrapped in one person. And I've had to very much untether my expectation of that from what I look for in partners and tell myself things like, well, I have friends for some of this, or I have, when I'm going through something difficult, it's like, I want to talk to my partner about it, but I also don't want to put every single difficult thing on my partner. So then it's like, okay, I have to still keep other strong connections alive and have like a friend that I go to for one thing, and maybe my sister I go to for this type of thing, and my partner I go to for this type of thing. And it doesn't mean that you like shouldn't be able to tell them anything, but I just don't think we should rely on them for like everything we need from the world, which it sounds like when you say it out loud, it's obvious and we all agree, but in practice, it's very hard to not get wrapped up in that. And I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't know how you untether that, but it's something I work on all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I've actually started expecting too little from people.
Like an overcorrection.
Yeah, I think an overcorrection, which I guess I'll land somewhere in the middle. And I really do think there's just like I think there's just like a bunch of different ways to have like a great marriage. Not that like marriage is the end all be all. I think, when I use the word marriage, fill in whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? Like committed relationship, whatever, partnership. Marriage is just shorter. I think there are like so many ways to have one that works for you. Like, I don't think everyone needs the best friend aspect. I don't think everybody needs the like intellectual connection. I don't think everyone needs a spiritual connection. I mean, actually that one's, I feel like probably everyone does need that, but like not everyone needs a humor connection. Like I think it's different for everybody. Not everyone needs as much of a physical connection. Like you can have a romantic connection without it being super physical. I think there's so many different ways for it to be a great connection that is enough for you. And I can't figure out what the fuck that would actually be for me. Yeah, which maybe you don't figure that out till you encounter it. But it has really thrown me for a loop feeling like I already got to encounter the thing that most people never get personality wise. It was not up to par, up to snuff on a lot of emotional things. Is this fucking fire on?
I noticed that.
What the fuck?
I was like, okay. Look cozy as fuck.
What? So I'm like, it's hot. And then I saw a fire behind me. I was like, wow. Yeah, but it does feel weird. I feel like I had like a once in a lifetime personality match. And maybe like even less than once in a lifetime. I think lots of people never get that. And so I'm like, well, I probably won't get that again. So what am I supposed to be looking for now? And I'm happy I'm not in that. It clearly wasn't enough.
Yeah.
I would rather be somewhere where I feel safe and feel trusted and stuff. But I don't know. It's like
Yeah,
really, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be expecting. I don't have answers.
totally. And I do think I like what you said and I agree with it, but it makes it harder that it can look a million different ways and the combination of qualities um can and should and will look different for
Right.
everyone. It's like, yes, of course. And that in one way is empowering because you just need to find what works for you. But on the other hand, it's like, can somebody just give me a checklist
I
that's like
know.
the universal checklist and that will just make this easier, you
So
know?
I know what to hold out for.
So I
Right.
know, yeah, that's what I'm supposed to be looking for. And um, yeah, and I don't know. I think there's always going to be things that people have to, I don't know if compromise is the right word, but just like
Get somewhere
extend
else.
grace. Yeah, extend grace that
Yeah.
like you're not going to find all of that in one person. And so find it in yourself, find it in your friends, find it in the work you do, find it in your hobbies, you know, like
I do think it should
that
be
you have
diverse.
to, but it's much easier said than done.
I mean, just think about like what's so funny about people being like, well, my marriage is like this, and that's why you should look for these qualities. It's like, if we all like lined up each of our best friends, the relationship we all have with our best friend, if you have a best friend, they all look different. Not
Mm,
all our best friends relate to us all in equal ways. Like, if we all brought out like our positive, the whatever positive relationships people have with their parents, they don't all look the same. Like, or a positive relationship with your sibling or some other friend. Like, there's no other relationship in life where we're like, it always looks the same. No,
totally.
it fucking doesn't. But what the hell do it look like? Yeah.
Yeah, even what we were saying before when I was talking about how often I speak with my parents, it's like that might make it sound to someone like, "Oh, what a close ideal relationship she has with
But
her
that's the
parents." But
standard.
like that is not necessarily true. There are so many complexities to my relationship with my parents and so many things that are not the ideal in, that I would want to be different or I would want to be better, or I look at other people and how they have this aspect that I don't have with mine. So like that applies to all of it. And
Mm-hmm.
you just, I don't know, it's just like getting comfortable. I mean, with your parents, you don't get to choose them. With your partner, you do. And I think that's what makes it even more complex. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, could there be someone out there that has this plus this as opposed to what's in front of me or what I've had before or what I think that I want on paper? If I prioritize all the things I want, somebody might have 5 out of 10, but is there someone else that has 6 out of 10 or 7 out of 10? And you just keep wondering, can I optimize or not? I do have a belief that like in general, people who get married or, like settle on a long-term partner, um, really they do that. Like they settle. And I don't mean that in a bad way, like in the negative context that we put on the word settling. I just mean that I think there comes a point for people when they decide, like, you know what? This is it. I feel ready for this at this point in my life. The person I'm with feels ready for it. I have a lot of good things with them, and I'm willing to work on anything that's not good. And like, so I'm going to choose them. Like, it's a choice.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that that's also something that I kind of find comforting because it's very easy to look around and look at what others have going on and think like, oh, they found everything they're looking for. But they probably didn't. They probably just decided at some point, like, here's the point where I stop. I'm going to stop now with this person. I've found enough. And I
Yeah.
think you probably feel that when you arrive at it.
Totally. Because the opposite is that you are constantly looking for the next best thing, the next better thing, which is like a pretty terrible, like both ungrateful and like uncommitted way to go about life. Like it's funny that you have to strike like a very fragile balance between not oversettling out of fear and not always trying to just trade up for something else. But ultimately, I don't really stress about it. I really don't. I don't, because to me, the option, like, I don't stress about getting married or meeting someone really. I can stress about dating and like what I'm supposed to do in moments. But ultimately, to stress about getting married or like meeting someone, it's like, what is the other option? The other option is like, I decide I freak out. Like either I meet somebody where it becomes a little bit clearer and it feels good, or I don't and I just like marry into a shit dynamic. Well, I'm not going to do that. So it's like either I'll meet someone or I won't. It's mostly just curiosity about like, will I fucking meet somebody? I don't know.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. I think that makes sense. And I think that's the best way to be. Like I feel it causes me stress that there are a lot of people in the world that put themselves on timelines and are stressed like, oh, I'm 30 and I'm not married yet or whatever.
That's when you fuck shit up.
Totally. That's when you do
Ugh.
settle. You know, that is when you
Yes.
do like choose the thing that you maybe shouldn't have just because you thought you needed to escalate your timeline or you were behind on your timeline. And yeah, I'm glad that I've never really thought about it that way, because when I see people who do, I'm like, I want to save you. I want to stop you from this. I want to shake you and be like, it doesn't matter what the timeline on paper was supposed to be. And that's for anything. That's really for anything in your life. But I also understand it and have empathy, or not, maybe not empathy, but I have compassion for it. But it's just like,
maybe easier said from our still technically fertile ages. Like it gets more complicated. I haven't lived every age, so I'm sure it gets more and more complicated. And I mean, I don't know. The thing I'm always thinking about is like all these marriages I feel like I grew up with, you know, like people who are now maybe the boomer generation, watching their marriages and just always looking at them, like almost all of them were terrible. Like I feel like I'm hard pressed to think of a marriage I respected growing up that I was like excited to be a part of. No one was asking me, but you know what I mean, theoretically. But and I just like staring at these marriages day in, day out in the suburbs and being like, how did you guys end up here? And I try and like see those moments in real time, looking at our peers now and being like, is this that moment where my friend is like identifying this thing and convincing themselves that it's okay and it's going to be different, or someone's going to change, or it'll be better when XYZ happens, or like, and I've been that person. Like everyone wanted me to leave basically every relationship I've ever been in. So I'm not above that. Like, thank God they dumped me. But
yeah,
I'm always just thinking
crazy
about like, what am I watching in real time? Like what terrible marriage, like what terrible 30-year anniversary am I watching the seed planted for
the
now?
beginnings of. Yeah, I hear you. Isn't that crazy too? What you just said like really struck me, because it is so my experience as well, of like knowing that something was wrong but sticking with it until they broke up with me. Like, and then you're like, I thought about breaking up with you a bunch of times and I never did it, you know?
Never did. Truly the biggest favor that was done to me. Unfortunately.
I feel the same way. I feel the same way.
You want to pivot?
Yeah, I that's still dating related and probably pretty short, but I had this happen to me the other day. So there's this guy that I went on one date with like 2 years ago, and I knew him from a different context. We like knew each other kind of like distantly, and then we saw each other on a dating app, matched, decided to go on a date. It was like, oh, it's you, hi. And then went on a date, nothing happened. But he like continued to text me after the date and kind of like pretend that he wanted to hang out again, but never put his money where his mouth is. And I kind of had this impression of him that he was a fuckboy. So I let it happen for the attention, but very consciously was like, nothing's fucking happening here. And he's never going to put the effort in. And he's not really, that's not what I'm looking for.
And you didn't see him after that first date?
Did not see him after that first date, but texted on and off. Not like constant texting, how's your day type of thing. Like reached out. He would reach out and drip. Yeah. Oh, what he would drip on me, not
drip on me. Drip on me, drip on you.
What are you up to this weekend? Or like flirty things like once a month for a few months.
Yeah.
And then eventually I put an end to it, because there was actually a time when we were gonna meet up and he canceled at the last minute. And I think it happened twice. And I was just like, hey, like, I'm cool with whatever this was before, where we were just like flirtily bantering with each other via text when we were bored. That was fine. But if you're trying to now pretend that we're going to get together only to cancel on me multiple times, like, I'm not doing that. So kind of
Infuriating.
choose.
Yeah.
And that put him
Which
in his
way do you
face.
want to
He
waste
shut
my
up.
time?
Right. I have a way that you can waste my time that I'm actually okay with, because it's entertaining and I get attention and I get compliments and somebody telling me, commenting on my Instagram photos.
It's a mutual agreement. He's getting something out of it too. Yeah, it's an exchange of goods. Yeah.
Exactly. I can comprehend this and I can sign off and say yes to it. But this other thing of now we're like pretending we want to date or something and you're not following through, that's a no-no. So he
That's a
stopped.
no-no.
That's on my oh no list, to quote Tom Haverford in Parks and Rec. So he disappeared, and based on the internet, I've now seen that he started dating someone else, and it's like a serious relationship, and obviously I'm also dating someone else. It's been a couple years and I don't think about this person anymore. But he has twice since that happened, while he's been with this new person, done the thing where he unfollowed me on Instagram to refollow me so that he would like pop up.
That
Do
is
you know what
so
I mean?
weird. I mean, you have named someone else doing that before, and I've never noticed it in my life. I was not aware that this was a thing people do, but I know you've named it before, and I do believe it.
It's a thing. He'll go back into like an older photo of mine and go like it.
Dude, what the fuck?
Or just the other day, and he's engaged now. And just the other day, he
poor girl
followed me on Instagram. And I was like, to my knowledge, we were already following each other on Instagram. So he just like did that thing. It is so weird.
So weird.
And I just needed to say it somewhere, ask you if you've ever seen anything like it, or what's like a version of this that maybe you have seen. If it's not the Instagram refollow, like this shit happens all the time.
A million versions. First of all, I could destroy so many people's boyfriends right now.
Yep.
Who are doing extremely suspicious behavior on Instagram, and fucking all the time, when you're just like, you're in a fucking relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, I think even more overt stuff than that. Like, it feels so clear to me that, like, I don't know. I don't even know what my point is, but I see it. I feel like I see it all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And you're like, you're just like, how long do you fuck this girl over? Or like, have you even waited?
Right.
It's so clear. It feels so clear. Yeah. What is the game plan? I mean, they don't have a game plan. Like,
no.
A friend, it's not really a friend, it was someone I was friends with, and she was like on and off with this guy, and I don't know, she was always sharing how I think the core fight they were having was like whether he even wanted to be with her. He was like sleeping with other people all the time, or I don't even know. We don't even talk anymore. She's super sweet, but he's replying. I saw only recently they were broken up for like a year maybe, and she moved away. And then I saw recently that they're back together, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, that seemed like it was like really good that she moved away so that she didn't have to date this guy who was causing her all these problems anymore. And now they're dating again, and he's up in my DMs, like complimenting my hair. You got no business. You got no business. You got no business.
No.
You and I aren't friends. I was friends with your girlfriend. You got no business.
It's so attention seeking. It is so just attention seeking, ego boosting. Like, okay, I would like to make this, I guess I would just like to turn this into an announcement for anyone who is dealing with one of these guys on a dating app or on Instagram or whatever, who's just like dripping you texts and compliments, but never puts any action behind anything they're doing. Maybe they're in a relationship, maybe they're not. If they're not, and so you're kind of holding out hope for like, oh, well, we matched and now he's texting me a little bit, or he added me on Instagram. What does that mean?
That's
it means
bad
he wants attention. It means he's a man-ho who wants to just like know that this girl that matched them on a dating app, which means that you think they're attractive. He wants to keep you in his orbit so that
validation seeking.
Yes. And that's
just
it.
Validation seeking.
I just feel like younger
people,
generations need to like know that. No, like
men do validation seeking just as much as women do. I think women get the bad rap for like, oh, they just want to be hit on. They just want to be flirted. Men do it like just as fucking much. Just as fucking much. One guy, this was like the worst. First of all, I'll tell you my answer. I restrict them. You're going, when you restrict somebody, their messages don't even show up in your DMs anymore. They go to your requested folder. I don't even want to fucking see that shit. But this guy I went on one date with from a dating app maybe a year and a half ago, and we actually had a fun time, and he was cute. Like, something about him seemed kind of douchey, so whatever. But I was like I'd freshly moved to DC, went on this date, and then he was like texting and messaging me, and he probably talked about meeting up like 20 times, but never pulled the trigger on it, and was just like wanted to be a texting buddy, but was like also really flirty, and just like crazy the amount of time wasting. I would never let it go on that long now. Like back then, now you have like one chance, but back then, again, I hadn't dated in like 6 years. You forget what the standards are. And I just stopped. I just couldn't believe how much validation he needed. Didn't ever want to see me. Just wanted to text. Just wanted to make sure I'd respond. Just wanted to make sure he could see me maybe if he wanted to. And he put a lot of effort into it. It wasn't just like, what's up? It was like conversations. And I mean, who knows? Maybe it's just copying, pasting to a bunch of other women. And he's still doing it. It's been a year and a half. It's been a year and a half since we went on one date, and he is still doing it. I had to restrict him the other day. And I don't think I'm some fucking special butterfly. This happens to everyone. I know that. It's just crazy how prevalent it is.
Yeah.
It's crazy. People, it's like, you are hurtling towards death. Don't you want to do something more productive with your life?
It's also like, has this ever worked for you? And that's why I feel the need. Exactly. That's why I feel the need to talk about it, because you and I are very much on the same page and clear about what this is, but it's working for them with some people. And that's why they keep doing it. So that's why I'm like, I need to blow these guys' spots. I need to say like, like, stop entertaining that, because you're not going to get anything out of it. And it's just wasting your time. And I don't even necessarily believe in the wasting your time because you could meet a better person. I don't even mean that. I just mean literally wasting your time that you spent texting them back, where you could have been, doing your hair or something. It doesn't have to be that
Cody Ko. You could be literally doing anything better than that. Just like sitting in a dark room. Like, the more you expose yourself, like, I'm talking to myself right now because this isn't something I've aced, but like, there is a danger to exposing yourself to a lower level of treatment than you want to ultimately settle down with. Like, even if you're like, oh, but I'm not going to date this person seriously, just spending time with them, like, it lowers the standard, and you start to forget what your standard actually was. And then the next person you date only has to be like incrementally better than that terrible thing. It's like, it's not good to do. It's better to just not expose yourself to it. That being said, like, I'm a fucking hypocrite, but this is something I think I'm getting a lot better at working on it. I don't know. I know it's true. It's hard.
That was a great point. I really like how you put that, because I think you're right. You can think it's harmless and you know exactly what's going on.
It does
I've done that too. Of just like, I know what I'm doing. I know that, I'm just doing this we're both just doing this for the attention. And so it's fine. But it does start to lower your standards, so that when somebody gives you like an ounce more of real investment, you're blown out of the water. And the bar is just on the floor. So
the bar is on the fucking floor. I literally try, like, I have little moments sometimes where I was walking behind this couple on the street last night, coming back from the gym. First of all, this fucking couple doubling up on a narrow sidewalk in the rain with their umbrella wouldn't let me pass. I could have kicked them both under the knees and taken them out. I was so mad. And it's the longest block. And they just made me stand behind them in the rain for it was like a 10-minute block. I could have killed them. However, I was taken by the way he was staring at her and like kissing her on the forehead. And like, this is why they weren't making any fucking progress, because he was just kissing her forehead the whole time. But it was like notable. And I really do try to intentionally take note of these moments where I'm like, okay, I know that's a little glimpse of the honeymoon phase, but like, I'm still holding out for some piece of that. Like, it wasn't what I'm trying to say. Like, it wasn't until seeing it that I'd forgotten how the guys I've dated recently would never look at me that way, they would never, it would never occur to them to kiss my forehead. It wouldn't even occur to them to look at me while we were walking together. And it wasn't until I saw it that I was reminded that that thing existed, that like sometimes people are so dazzled by your mind and what you say and how you show up in the world that they just want to look at you while you talk. And I like forgot that was a thing. And so sometimes I see these things and I'm like, okay, note it. Like that's a thing that exists. Like it's been so long. It's been like 2 years or more since I've been around that, and you just forget and the standard slips. And then you throw in a couple guys or women there who like lower that standard even more, and you can just forget like what you could have. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I really like that you note those moments. It's kind of like a version of manifesting without being too manifesty about it. It's like, or like what we've talked about of making a list of the things you want, in a partner. Yeah. I think there's something real about like clocking those moments and saying like, I can have that. It exists. Now I see with my own eyes that it exists.
I know.
So I can have it. Yeah, I think it's, there was something else I wanted to say about it. Oh, forehead kisses. Okay. I just want to go on a little bit of a tirade about them.
Please. Oh, tirade.
Tirade.
Okay.
No one loves a forehead kiss more than me. Let's get one thing straight. I love a forehead kiss. I will present my forehead. I will like part the seas of my hair, and I will
parted her middle part.
I will present it nice and shiny and moisturized and be like, don't you wanna? And I'll just like nestle myself in. I love a forehead kiss. Don't get me wrong.
You're like, it's like you're spreading your little butt cheeks for them for presenting a kiss. Boop, boop.
However, I also very strongly feel that a forehead kiss can be used as a weapon. Forehead kisses have been weaponized by fuckboys for generations.
Yeah.
I feel like there are dudes who have given me a forehead kiss when we were nothing more than hookup buddies. And I held on to that forehead kiss as like the validation that they liked me more than just a hookup buddy, like, oh, they're being so tender and sweet with me, and
he kissed me like a daddy.
Me girlfriendy. Yeah, like I just want to make clear in my consistent tirade in this episode about the things you should not, I don't know,
be swayed by, be exactly overtaken by.
Be overtaken by.
I know. It was the whole package. No, I totally agree. Yeah, again, it's like the gestures we talked about, the isolated thing. Like there are mechanics you can go through the motions of that kind of look like love, kind of look like affection, but are just the bare minimum. Yeah. It was really the way this guy stared at her that I was like, I just didn't think he could fake that. I was like, she's got something on her face, or he's obsessed with her.
Totally. The staring is something. I think that's real. I do think you can't fake that. And I even remember, I still feel this way, but like when my boyfriend does that to me at the beginning, especially, I was like, what are you staring at? Because I didn't remember what that felt like, or hadn't had that in so long.
Does it make you uncomfortable?
It made me a little uncomfortable, or it made me like, is there something on my face, or is there something wrong? Is he noticing something he doesn't like about the way that I look? Like these are the negative thoughts that would come up because of all the fucked up shit that, translated in my mind in that way over time. Yeah. And I always would be like, what are you looking at? And he had to like force it down my throat. Like, I'm just looking at you. I just am appreciating you talking right now.
How dare you?
Like, how dare you? But it is kind of sad. It is kind of sad that that's where so many like toxic relationships and bad dating experiences with these apps and the way that it works now have left so many of us. But which is why I like that you notice these things and you're like, okay, it still exists. I need to remind myself whenever I get the chance. So no shade on that. No shade on that. But if anyone listening is like hooking up with someone and he gives you a forehead kiss after sex, it doesn't mean anything.
He's got to do more than that. Yeah. He's got to do more than that. This, it's funny because I feel like I also have like a strong case against, I'm about to negate everything I just said, but that's just fine. Like on the other end of things, I feel like a lot of these assumptions of what any given couple has or what they're experiencing are like really bullshit.
Yeah.
It's so hard to sift through. First of all, like almost no one is honest about their relationship. Even if they were trying to be honest with themselves, like even in their diary, even in their private diary, a lot of people are not able to be honest, myself included. Like to look at something honestly, it's very difficult, especially when it's something as high stakes as like your love or your heart or your partner or whatever. Let alone the way you present it to the world. Even if you are able to be honest about your problems privately, a lot of people won't put that on their Instagram page, will they? Won't, put it front and center at a cocktail party or whatever. And so you're surrounded all the time with relationships, right? That you can look to theoretically as examples, but like almost none of them are dressed as they are internally. And it's so hard to know, just once again, like I think it's also very foolish to look at a lot of relationships and be like, well, they have this perfect thing, so I'm going to hold out for this perfect thing. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I think something that's so important to me in building that awareness, I guess, is like actually trying to talk to my friends about things that are not perfect in my relationship, things that are not perfect in theirs. When I was in my first relationship, which was the long one that I've referenced that turned toxic over time, um I didn't tell my friends really anything about it other than good things. And part of that was because they had become friends with him and I kind of wanted to protect that and not have them think differently. And like, you know, if something is going on, but then we make up, then I don't want my friends to hold on to that as
they're too
what they
close.
decided, that he's not good for me anymore, things like that. And I think so many of us fall into that and it's so hard not to. But I remember that when the breakup happened and I started to open up to a couple of my closest friends about what had been going on, um, it was just like so enlightening because they started to talk about relationships they'd been in where similar things had gone on. I had no idea. And these are some of my closest people who I feel like were really honest and open with each other. And still there were these things that kind of were loaded and shameful almost that we never wanted to talk about before. It's so much easier to talk about it in retrospect when you're not with that person anymore. But it is something I try to remind myself of. Like it it grew a closeness between me and my friends that is really valuable to me. And it's helped me make sense of things that are working and are not working and feel less alone in things that are not working. And it's just helped me a lot mentally process
Yeah.
things going on in relationships. So if that can be somebody's encouragement to like be a little more honest with your friend, just a little, I understand not telling people everything, but there's something to be said for having those conversations amongst trusted people, just a couple, not everyone, not every friend, not every girls' drinks that you go out and do you need to like open your soul and bear all the hardship of your relationship to, but your closest people who you trust to not like hold it against you in the relationship, I think it can help while you're literally in it.
Yeah. Sounds so much more helpful creating that, basically establishing what the culture is going to be and like being like, it's a safe place for us to all do this. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I think it just helps you not go crazy on your own, and bring some sense to things. Like sometimes my friends have caught me getting, really wrapped up in something that once I've talked it through with them, I'm like, oh, that's actually, there's an easy solution, or it's really not as bad as my anxiety was making it out to be. But then other times I've talked to my friends about things where they've called attention and put a spotlight on something that I was kind of like trying to brush under the rug. And so again, like only a couple friends I would really do this with, but it does help. And I just think there's a culture of like protecting our relationships so much. And I do this too. Like just because I said what I just said doesn't mean that I don't also participate in that culture. But if
Nice
you
thing
find
to
those
try and force
opportunities and
through.
try to force yourself out of that comfort zone, yeah, it can really be helpful.
I love that. That's awesome.
Why is it so hard to mail packages?
I agree. I completely agree. Is this a stamps.com sponsorship you're about to start? Because
that's what I'm gearing up for.
I was watching one of those sponsorships the other day and I was like, true, I fucking agree. Like, still haven't purchased that service, but like, why is it so fucking hard? It's like I will put it off for weeks.
It's the hardest thing in the world. Now that I have a car, it's easier. But when I did not have a car,
still you have to drive somewhere
with your returns to the post office when you live in a city and like lugging this big thing, it's a nightmare. It's
hours, it's never open. It's almost never open. I never have the correct tape. I have to buy a $20 roll of tape.
The tape.
Just to tape it in a box. Like,
they won't tape it at the post office for you. You have to tape it yourself. It's unbelievable. I'm like, I know you have tape back there.
You have to buy it. You have to buy
the tape.
There
was this one time that I was mailing a friend a care package, and first of all, it took me 3 months, maybe longer than that, 4 or 5 months to actually mail it. I had it sitting ready for her for months, and it just sat in the box in my apartment. I had to change it from a birthday package to like a, I don't know, whatever holiday I made up that it was for. Like, oh, 4th of July, here's your package now. Her birthday was in February. And finally, I got the like stamina and the courage and the wherewithal.
The courage to mail the care
to
package.
Pick it up.
This President's Day care package I'm sending her.
To pick it up. I had started by moving it. It was originally in my bedroom. Then I was like, a couple months in, I was like, okay, move it by the front door so that it is a visual cue when you leave the apartment. Like, hey, I should bring this and take it to the post office. So eventually, a couple months in, I moved it to the front door. That didn't really do much. But then a couple months later, I did pick it up. I did pick it up and leave the house with it. And I went to mail it. I had printed out the label and like taped it up and all that stuff, mailed it. 2 days later, I got a notification from my building that I had a package. And I was like, oh, I don't remember ordering anything, but maybe I like drunkenly did something on Amazon the other night. I don't know. I open my locker and it's the package for my friend. I like totally fucked up the label and had put in my own address instead of hers.
Oh,
and it shipped back to myself, and I paid for that. I had to pay for it.
Wow. Yeah. Did you ever send it to her?
I did. After that, I was so like enraged that I did it again and made sure I did everything right. And she did eventually receive it. I mean, it was like a candle. Like, she was like, oh, thanks for the package. And I was like, you have no idea what I've been through.
Yeah, then you neutralized the value of the gift by being so furious with her and resentful over having had to send it.
I was like, why aren't you more excited about this? Do a dance to show me how excited you are about this package that I just spent months getting to you.
You owe me.
It's the worst thing ever.
I mailed this to myself, you bitch.
You don't even know.
Yeah, it's really, really bad. It's part of why I like can't maintain Poshmark. I'm like, if you sell something, I've done Poshmark on and off at different times. And right now I'm like, if you sell something and you make like $20 off of it, like $20 is not like, you would have to pay me more to walk to the post office.
To walk to the post office.
You would have to pay me more to actually even think about putting a post office visit on my to-do list. You would have to pay me more than $20.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have a printer, you have to find one of those cafes that has the print with me setups. Like, what is this nonsense? What is this world we're living in? I don't know exactly what stamps.com is doing, but maybe I should study up and email them for a sponsorship.
I have the feeling that they haven't fucking solved the problem. Like, can you just, maybe they have a whole business, but will they pick up your package? Probably.
I just went to their website and in the corner it says, heard us on radio or podcast, click here. And
oh my God.
Makes sense. If you click, it's a place to enter the promo code. But at first I read it as like they have a podcast. And I was like, what is stamps.com talking about?
What's the stamps.com podcast? all breaking celebrity news, mail related celebrity news. Maybe?
That could be good. Or like maybe it's confessionals of people who have had mail mishaps. Like maybe I should write in my story and see if they'll take it.
Maybe
Okay,
it's
the
just
next
like
thing.
spoken word poetry of different addresses that people have.
Oh, what do you mean? Say more.
They're just like, oh, this one's 611 12th Street. What do you got? I don't know. Maybe that's it.
I like
That's
that.
like that's some
Giving a
kind of kink.
voice to the mailmen of our world.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a mailman that I loved when I was a kid.
Yeah.
He was also a magician.
Okay. He was grooming you, Jess. Sorry to break it to you. He had the best candy. He had the best candy, and I loved the inside of his house. He was always giving me different gifts. He was so nice, and he had a little puppy dog that he said I needed to help him rescue.
I have to go.
I have a story. I have one story to cap us off with. This is really short.
Okay.
This is I'd call this a redemption story for
Wow.
I don't even think it's a redemption for me. It's for a redemption for all mankind. Mankind. I was at the gym the other day. I've only been hit on in the gym maybe like once in a lifetime of going to the gym. I think most people have gotten the memo that it's like there's just too many scenarios. I don't think it's completely inappropriate to like flirt with someone at the gym, like just be able to read the room. But I think enough people understand that it's a delicate situation. A lot of people don't want to be approached at the gym.
Yeah.
Totally cool. However, the other day, this is a couple weeks ago, I think I was hit on by a guy in the gym in I think the only acceptable way that one can. It was amazing. I was like starstruck or something.
By his delivery of this.
Yes. I wanted to give him like an award and now I love him. But this guy, he was like a cute guy. We were in the gym, I noticed him, I clocked him, whatever, let him look at my butt or, whatever. And as you do. And by which I mean I just continued to live my life and work out and my butt was there.
Right.
And
well, I mean, maybe you chose the elliptical in front of him or something. Like there's strategy sometimes.
But I didn't do that. I was just aware I didn't do that. I was just like continued my workout and he continued to exist.
Okay.
And then I went to a room alone to stretch. And I like saw him walking in and I like turned and like he was clearly talking to me. I was like the only person in that room and he approached me and he was just like, what did he say? He said something, it was almost cheesy, but I loved it. He was like, I just had to make sure somebody in this gym hit on you today. Like you're absolutely beautiful or something like that. And then he walked the fuck away. He walked away. I couldn't even like, I didn't even have time to respond. Like he said it very sweetly. I don't know if it sounds cheesy saying it, like repeating it now, but it was really, it just was said like kind and like a normal person. And he walked the fuck away. Like, and I had to be like, wow, like wow, that made my day. Like said something fucking weird. Was like, what's your name? Like he was like, I didn't even know what to do.
I don't know what I would have been the same.
Like I was Santa Claus and he was like sitting on my lap and I'm like, what's your name? Like I did not know what to do. But I was just, and I was trying to think about like, well, I don't know. He's told me his name, and I was like, okay, cool. You're on a nice list. So, whatever. Pat him on the head, send him on. He walked the fuck away. He was done with me. But I was just so struck by it, and of course, now I'm in love with him. But I was thinking about like what made that work, what made that acceptable, and it was just that like it's not that it's so bad for a stranger to hit on you or to compliment you or even in some way to flirt with you, but it's like when they then like ask something of you, when they think you owe me, it's like, bitch, I've already blessed you with the grace of you, like you got to look at me, you're welcome, I already gave you a gift. Like, isn't that what you're so happy about? I don't owe you something. If you want to come up and say something, great, but I don't owe you something. It's when he just didn't demand anything of me. It was amazing.
Yeah, I was thinking that when you told the story. I was like, what worked is that he walked away. He asked nothing, no phone number exchange, no, do you want to go out sometime? No, nothing. Just here's a compliment. I'm going to walk away. And then he puts it's not like he didn't want you to follow him, probably. Like, he would have been very open to the idea that you would then come find him and want to talk more, or see him next time and talk more or something. But he was okay with that not happening. Like, he put that in your court. You know what I mean?
Totally.
If you want to do more with this, you can now come let me know that. I'm not going to assume that you do just because I complimented you. You know what I mean? It was great.
Yeah.
That's well done. Good, sir. Did you exchange numbers or do anything?
No, literally nothing else happened. Like,
you did the name thing though. You asked, he's on the nice list. Santa Claus.
I don't know what the fuck I said. I must have been like, I pooped my pants. Like, I was like completely so dumb. And then asked him his name, got his name. He asked my name. And I think I was like, have a good day. Like, he was not trying. He didn't seize on me asking his name as an opportunity for him to elongate the conversation. Like, he was out the door. He was out the door.
That's cool.
It didn't feel uber manipulative or anything like strategic, like fuckboy either. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know anything about this man. Maybe, I mean, you know, in some way,
maybe
flirting
it's
is all a manipulation. It is a move. I mean, like, flirting, like complimenting someone is a move.
Right.
That doesn't mean it's like, what's the word that I can never think of that's a synonym for manipulative? I always want to say lascivious, but malicious.
Ooh. Yeah, maybe malicious.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what my point was, but A+ to him. You know,
go off,
we're
King.
in love now. I got his name and that was it. And I just didn't happen to go back to the gym. I've been running outside. So I'm letting him just stew on it now. Now I'm walking out the door.
I love that. I love that. If I were you, I would be obsessively trying to figure out who he is. Like, you have a first name, you have a gym he goes to. I would be running a scan of the area, but that's just my energy.
I like not looking people up now. Like, I actually don't want to know. I don't want to look at your Instagram and know what you did last year. I don't really want to see. I don't want to know. Like, I would like to find out.
Thing.
I don't want the internet.
I agree, but because there's no promise of finding out, I think that would just make my curiosity go wild. But yeah, heard. There was one time
I'll see him at the gym. I think I'll see him at the gym. And even if I don't, like, it's beautiful as a standalone moment. Like, what a beautiful moment between two strangers. The end.
Something that I once did, just if you ever did want to find out somebody's, not like their Instagram, but just find out their last name to be able to communicate.
I wouldn't even know. I would not know how to go about this.
So I was in a coffee shop, like, doing work one time, and there was this guy sitting across from me doing work that whole afternoon as well. And we kind of kept like making eyes at each other, like just making eye contact and then kind of looking away. And I felt like, I'm not just imagining this because it happened a couple times. And he stood up to leave and I was like, fuck, I didn't say anything. I was like panicking. I was like, it's now or never.
Worst feeling, right? You're like, what am I doing?
I know. It's like, I've waited 3 hours. I thought maybe 30 more minutes and then something would happen. And so what I did really quickly to figure out his last name, I don't know how I came up with it. I looked in airdrop on my iPhone.
Amazing.
To see if a man's name and picture would come up, and it did. And I found his first and last name, and I found him on Instagram, and I sent him a message. He never responded, but that was my
that's a win already.
He
doesn't have to respond. That's already a win. That's amazing.
Yeah. Airdrop, guys. You got to get creative.
Girl, let me tell you about airdrop. Okay. First of all, that is a stroke of fucking genius. Yeah. You don't even want him to respond at that point because the relationship's already better in the story than it could ever be in real life.
I've taken it to the top and we can go no further.
I dump you. I now dump you. I deem you dumped. But when I was on an airplane one time, I was really bored and I just I'll just start airdropping people like pictures of myself, like whoever has an airdrop.
Wait, you're one of those people
sitting on the tarmac. Yeah. And I have to find my phone for this. This guy, I just started taking like dumbass photos of me with like my neck pillow wrapped around my head like a hood or a halo and looking truly demented. And then someone on the plane airdropped me back a photo of him doing it. And I was like,
soulmate.
That's the love of my life. Yeah.
Talk about personality match, like comedy match.
I know.
I always wonder who those people are. I've had that happen to me on planes, on
Really?
buses, and
It's
I
me.
don't
It's me on
I don't hit
buses.
accept because I'm always afraid that
What?
it's like a dick pic or something
Well, I would
by
take
some
it
like
too.
creepy dude on the bus, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Who's just
No.
looking for women's names on airdrop. I don't know. That's where my head goes, but at the same time, yeah, it could also be a funny opportunity. I love that you do that. That gives me a whole new
It's
outlook
me and
on
like
that move.
12-year-olds. It's probably
Yeah.
like me and mostly 12-year-olds or perverts, but I don't think I've ever received an airdrop from anyone just like initiating an airdrop.
Oh yeah, that happens like not
On the
frequently,
bus?
but it's happened a couple times. It did happen
That
to me
is
on the bus
so
one time.
funny.
And actually one time that it happened, I did hit accept because I was already like doing something on my phone screen, so my thumb kind of landed on the accept before I could see that this was an airdrop.
Was it a penis?
It was not a penis. It was somebody's number. And I was like,
That they like wrote down on a piece of paper?
yeah. And I was like,
Okay.
did they send this specifically to me? Did they send it to everyone on this bus? I decided to do nothing with it because I was like, I don't even know what the face is that's associated with this number.
Oh, yeah. That
You
didn't work
know?
out that well.
Yeah, he didn't think it through. It should have been like, brunette girl on the bus. Here's who I am and here's my number. Then we could have turned that into something potentially, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Show that you know who I am. Show that it was specifically to me and show me what you look like so I can make a decision, you know?
Yeah. Show that you look a little bit like, what is it?
Kumail.
Kumail?
Yeah. Kumail Nanjiani. Or, you know, you have options. You could look like John Mayer if you also write songs like him. I don't know. I'll give you that chance. Okay. We're done. We're done for today.
We wrap it.
Thanks for listening. You can find us on Instagram at Not For Everyone Pod, not the number 4, Everyone Pod. Share this episode with a friend who needs a laugh. Also share last week's episode. It was all about career. So you kind of have options, you know, like if you have a friend that's going through something, we have episodes for that. And if you have a friend who just needs a break, share it with them too. We really appreciate when you guys share it to stories and all of that.
Or if you have a
Anything
friend
else?
who's like, if you have a friend who's like on top of the world and you want to knock them down a peg, we have episodes for that too.
We do have that. Yeah, we definitely have that.
Get them off their pedestal.
Variety, the spice of life.
Yeah.
I guess that's it.
I think that's it. Nope, nothing at the end of that sentence. That's it.
Is a full sentence. You know how people say no is a full sentence?
Oh, I didn't
is
know
also
that was
a full sentence.
Okay.
That's the thing I say. No is a full sentence. We can have an episode on that probably.
I think it is a full
day.
sentence, but also what part of speech would it be?
Oh. It's a
imperative
verb.
It's not a verb.
No,
to know.
It's not a verb.
It is not a verb.
But it's an imperative statement, right? What is no?
What is no? Okay, no, there's no time. There's no time.
There's no time. No. I'm gonna say no to that question. And
to that I say, Okay, goodbye.